Hey there, good afternoon. This is Ben from the Flamenco Guitar Podcast and Flamenco for You Guitar Tutorials. Today, I want to talk about what to do when you've got one of these, okay, one of these injured fingers, right? I had a little accident. Everything's okay. Stay calm. I was cutting a lemon, and the cutting board I was using was rather small. What happened? Well, I noticed it was kind of shifting a little bit, and I thought to myself, Ben, you probably should use a larger cutting board because you're gonna cut yourself. And I thought, no, I'm not gonna cut myself. Well, I ended up cutting off the tip of my ring finger right here, my A finger. Actually, we call the A finger primarily for the playing finger, my ring finger or my third finger on the fretting board. It got hacked off, except for the last little millimeter of skin, and it's hanging on. So I reapplied it there. No stitches necessary, I don't believe. But anyhow, I'm not able to use it for the next couple of days, maybe a week or so. So in the meantime, what do? Well, I've got the use of my other finger, so I can hold things like an E7 chord, an A major chord. But what if you're completely out of commission? You're unable to use your fretting fingers. Well, you've got the use of your right hand, right? That's half the job of the flamenco guitarist, or any guitarist for that matter. So there's plenty of things that you could do in the meantime to keep this hand going. So what you'll do is you'll just mute the strings here with your left hand if you have access to it. If it's really in bad shape, if you broke your wrist, if it's in a cast, then what you'll do is set it aside, of course. You'll need something to hold up the guitar with. So you could use an ergonomic support, or you can simply just hold it like cowboy style with a lower bout over your leg. Or you could use a footstool, right, to prop it up like this. Whatever you choose to do. Let's go through what you could use for the right hand to keep it nice and in shape and learn something in the meantime. So let's start with a regular warm-up rasgueado. This is going to be a rasgueado molenillo. It's a full finger rasgueado. That means that we're going to do thumb, pinky, middle, sorry, A, M, I, and then P again. So I've shown this to you in a couple other videos. It's a really valuable one that you could use for a full sounding roll or rasgueado. So you do an upward thumb like this, right? And as soon as you do that, I want you to kind of combine these two movements together with a pinky down, right? So up and then pinky down. At first, that pinky down is going to seem pretty weak. So what you want to do there is give it a little help with momentum. Don't put it all on the pinky finger or the E finger. Give it a little bit of a movement with the wrist. Curve out like that, and you're basically strumming the strings, rolling across like that. And you're going to repeat the same process with the A finger. You might ask, well, how do I repeat that process with the A finger if I've already got it, the pinky finger extended? How would I get that same kind of momentum? Well, here's the thing. You're not going to move it all the way out like this, obviously, because you're going to be out of range to be able to strike it. You're going to have to go out and then return again, and return again, and return again like that. So that's not how you do it, right? You'll find soon enough if you try and do it fast enough. So you'll go up, thumb, down, pinky, okay? And notice I got the hand perpendicular, or parallel rather, to the strings like this. So I'm not out yet. Hang 10. And then A finger down, okay? M, I, and up P. So give that a try. Try it with me. Here we go. Up P, down E, down A, down M, down I, and up P. You'll feel a little bit of a returning back as you strum, yeah? Just a little bit, not a whole lot. You know, you're not going out, like I said, and coming back in. A little bit of return, a little bit of a recoil going on here. As you go faster, you're going to abandon that recoiling or that returning back to the strings. You're just going to go straight out like that. Let's take it a little bit slower. Again, up thumb, down A, rather E, A, M, I, and up P. Here's the next step. So now that you've gotten those movements down, maybe the sound and maybe the force isn't as strong and uniform as you'd like it to be. That's okay. What you're going to use as your point of reference is the upward thumb. That's going to be your point of reference for your striking power, your dynamics. And you'll notice, you're probably thinking, Ben, I can't hear your dynamics. You're muted with this dang sponge here. Well, I use that because obviously we're not having any use with our left hand. So we don't want to make a bunch of annoying noise for our own ears or for our neighbors or for the people in the house. They're just going to hear a bunch of strumming, ugly strumming, right? We're doing this so that we can have an in-shape right hand because our left hand is out of commission. So that's why I have it here. But for the purpose of being able to hear the kind of dynamic that you want, let me just hold an E7 chord, or rather, yeah, E7 chord. Kind of in between mezzo forte and forte, right? Starting from the treble strings and going all the way up to the low bass string. I'm not scooping it and playing it really hard like this. Not that hard. Okay, medium tone. And then immediately after that, downward pinky. I want to kind of match that tone. Now I can't get it exactly the same kind of a sound because I'm starting down here with the bass strings and going down to the treble strings, right? So you're not going to hear the same sequence, but I want to try and match it, make it sound really similar. Up thumb, up thumb. I compare those back and forth until they sound basically the same. It might take a few seconds. Okay, I think I got it. I think it sounds pretty equal, right? You'll have to do this kind of warm up once in a while when you first start with your hands cold. That's normal. Now I want to go to the A finger and make that A finger sound like the pinky finger did. That means I have to put more power into that pinky finger than I do with the A finger and certainly the subsequent M and I. The stronger the fingers, the less force you have to put forth. And the smaller, weaker fingers, like the pinky finger, you have to put forth more effort, more power. As we go on, less, but we want to make sure that the tone is still the same. A, M, I, and then P. They don't sound exactly the same, but they sound pretty much the same. And we'll go a little bit faster. So we were at dun, dun, dun. We're going to go a little bit faster. Still trying to get that dynamic down. It's hard when you go slow. A little bit faster. Pinky finger's a little bit weak. And I'm sorry if the feed's cutting out the guitar, unfortunately. I think the noise cancellation might be cutting it out, but let's do it again. Okay, it's coming together. Then you do it at regular speed, okay? I gotta just do it fast. Notice that the very last one, the very last scoop upward with a thumb, it's gonna be a little bit stronger than all the rest when I'm doing one sequence or one pattern. I wanna get that triplet. But if I were doing a whole bunch of those sequences, those patterns together, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do it equally like this. And I can adjust the dynamics, soft to heavy, soft, and I can keep the tempo pretty much the same. You could do this on something like the Andalusian cadence in A minor with the bar chords. Let's say you've got somebody that's soloing along with you. I can't do that right here. I'm gonna have to supplement my third finger with the fourth finger. G7. And they're soloing and you're kind of backing them up in no time signature. Da, 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 da. That's the usefulness of that kind of a scale mostly. Now let's go for another one. So now your hand's nice and worked out. And if you're watching live, go ahead and say hi in the comments if you have any questions. I'll be here for another like 5 minutes or so like that. Then we've got another very common rasgueo that you got to know. You got to have your hand in shape at all times to be able to do the soleá or soleares, typical rasgueo. And we'll use our four fingers. We're not going to use our thumb here. The other thing we're going to add is the tapping or the golpe with the A finger or the third finger. So once again, I'll put my muting sponge right here, and we're just going to focus on the right hand patterns. We're not even going to focus on the chords or anything like that because this guy right here. Now, downward um, E finger, pinky finger, okay? And notice this is different now. Thumb is now anchored on the E string, on the low sixth string. And I'm using that to stabilize myself. It's kind of like a tripod, and it rests there so that the hand is nice and stable. I can still manipulate the movements around as I wish, but this gives me a lot of stability. Downward E, A, M, I, up like that. Try it with me. Down E, M, A, I, up I. We're going to do that sequentially like this. How many times was that? Just count it upwards, the upward index. That's how we can kind of keep track of the amount of times that we've done it, because it gets a little bit messy in the head. Up, up, okay. So if you did it correctly, you've gone down 4 fingers, you've come up 1 time, that's 1 cycle, up again, another cycle, and third time up, index like that. That's 3 cycles. And then we're going to add a golpe and a down stroke. Okay, let's modify it for the soleares. I was kind of showing you an exercise where you do 3 of those, right? So okay, so for this purpose, we'll do essentially 2, right? So down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Is that making sense? Down, up, down, up. Make sure you're trying along with me. Here we go again. Right? So that's a very useful one that you can do. You can also just loop it over and over again just for exercise. Do that to the point to where that you're not able to really do it cleanly anymore, and then slow it down even more so that you can still do it cleanly. Once it gets a little bit too fatigued here, slow it down even more until it kind of breaks down, right? And then shake it out. So those are very helpful scales that you could be doing. There's a ton more, and we can cover that in another lesson. If you have any questions, I got about a minute left, and we're going to go hop out. So I'm looking forward for this thing to heal. And if you've ever had any kind of an injury like that with your left hand or your right hand, and it's gotten in the way of your flamenco guitar playing, go ahead and let me know in the comments. I'd like to know what kind of injury that you went through. Some people, they go through bike injuries. I know that was one I had that was lingering for many months, like for about 9 months it took for that thing to heal. I got in an accident to where the handlebar went back and took my thumb all the way back. It was, once again, the fretting hand. Luckily, it wasn't my playing hand, right? Because you use pulgar so much. So the problem was is that this part right here, the thenar eminence, was just stretched out and torn, right? And so that was a very painful kind of experience to be able to fret anything, let alone a bar chord, right? That was frustrating. And I think that for me, the remedy for that, I believe, is that the healing process really got accelerated once I started upping my protein intake. There's other things that you could do to improve, ligaments and muscles healing. Make sure you get enough sleep, of course, hydration. But I really think that if you're deficient in protein intake, just that's from what I understand, that's the kind of the building blocks of all your muscle tissue, your bones, and all that stuff like that. And so make sure that you get enough of that so that if you have an injury, your body can address that injury adequately with the proper nutrition. and of course, have a well balanced diet. But I think for me, that was really a game changer. Really, think that I saw a lot of acceleration in my healing process with that. So with that, I've shown you the different things that you could do just with your right hand. And of course, if you want to do a Roomba strumming technique, I show you all those different strumming patterns that are fun, and they're rather easy if you practice them, and they're enjoyable. You can go find those on my Patreon page at patreon.com/flamenco for you. That's the number 4 and the letter U, flamenco for you. So we'll see you next time in the live stream. If you have any questions, go ahead and I'll answer it in the comments later, and we'll talk to you then. Take care, guys.